It's blazing hot here in Wuhan, China, and I just got back from a whirlwind trip where my best friend and I traveled to 5 different cities. And as I was resting and preparing to share the videos with you, I was just taking some time to have gratitude for the past year and all it took to get here. And part of that was the decluttering process. So I thought I'd share some of my tips for decluttering. I'm actually really good at it, and this last declutter before I moved overseas was one of my proudest. And so I thought I'd share some tips with you on how I made that happen. If we haven't met yet, my name's Gail. About 6 months ago, I moved to Wuhan, China at the age of 59. I celebrated my 60th birthday over here. I moved here to teach English and to explore this beautiful country. So if you're interested in my decluttering process, I encourage you to continue to watch this video. See if you can learn some tips. So if you're watching this video, you're probably either just interested in decluttering or you're looking to do what I did. You're looking to declutter and make a move abroad. Either way, I hope my thought process and my tips can help you. This is not the first time I've had to declutter. I've gone through a lot. I went through a divorce. I had to downsize my house, move into an apartment. I took my mom in. I had to downsize there. One thing I have to say, my mom, one of the best gifts that she gave me before she passed away was she decluttered her own life. And so when she passed, there wasn't a whole lot of work I had to do with her stuff. But I still had a lot of stuff. I'm a mom, so I have my son's things. I had some family heirlooms. And so, trying to make decisions about all these things, what you're going to keep, what you're going to get rid of, it kind of weighs on you. And I can remember sitting in my apartment, just looking around. I had family antiques. I had china from my mom that, I wasn't going to use Noritake china, and just a lot of stuff. And as I looked around, it was actually kind of causing me stress because I wasn't feeling free. I wanted to be able to get up and move and go wherever. And then just the thought of moving these antiques and all of that, it was really weighing me down. So that's not the case for everyone. That might not be the case for you, but that was the case for me. So the first thing I did was I had to think about what was I going to store and what was I going to get rid of. And so I talked to a lot of friends actually because, I had been carting some things around. Every time I carted them around, I had to pay movers for these antiques. And so I moved several times. At my divorce, I had to take my mom in. I had to move to do that. And then she went into assisted living, and then my son went off to college. So I moved. I can't even count how many times I moved during the past 10 years. So each move included another downsize, another declutter, which was actually really good. So by the time I got to the apartment that I was living in before I moved here, I was in pretty decent shape. It was a 1-bedroom apartment with a tiny little storage unit that it came with. So I didn't have a whole lot, but it was still quite a bit. So the first thing I had to ask myself was, okay, how much am I going to pay for storage? Like, how much am I willing to fork out to store this stuff? And if I store it, is it going to stay intact? Like, could it get ruined if I put it in storage? So that was a decision that I made that helped me decide I'm getting rid of the family antiques. I contacted the family and said, hey, anybody want these? Come get them, because I am no longer willing to hold on to these family heirlooms. If you don't come get them by this date, I will sell them. And so that was something that I put out to the family. My second tip is another mindset tip. Things are not people. We can get rid of things, and just because we get rid of things doesn't mean we're getting rid of people. I mean, it seems so simple, right? But sometimes the act of getting rid of something, there's a little bit of guilt. There is emotion in this. So, if we get rid of maybe a gift somebody gave us or a family heirloom, we feel like, oh, we're hurting another person, or we're, getting rid of a person. That's not true. We can still love people, but get rid of things. Things are not people. So that's something to keep in mind as you're going through. And there is emotion, and it's okay to feel something when you're holding an item or getting rid of it. It's okay to feel guilt, but just remember, you can love the person and keep that memory. One thing that I do is I actually take pictures of things. So I'm going to show you in a minute a video of my apartment. I videoed my beautiful apartment in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and kind of said goodbye to all the things as I was doing a reset. So let's watch that video now. So I wanted to make a quick video of my apartment here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on Prospect Avenue. This is called Prospect Towers. And I have a 1-bedroom here. I've enjoyed every minute of my time here in this apartment. So I've got a lot of family heirlooms. I'm about to do a reset of my life, and I'm going to be doing another round of drastic downsizing. So I'm going to get rid of a lot of my things here and just kind of simplify my life and just do a reset. And so this is my beautiful view. I love it so much. I have so many pictures of it on my phone. And then this is my living space. We've enjoyed a lot of fun times here. There's my kitchen. I've cooked a lot in there, so it's not always as clean. And this is the hallway that goes down to my bedroom. So here's the bathroom here, which is a really nice sized bathroom. And then this is my bedroom, which is huge, and so I use it also as a workstation. I've got this rolling stand-up desk that I love so much. So it's pneumatic. I can put it down or have it be standing up. I stand up a lot of the time. And then this is my very similar bedroom view, but different. Last week I got to be woken up at night by fireworks over there, and that was really fun to see those. This is a mirror that I positioned so that I can look west from my bed, which I think is super fun too. So I'm going to be downsizing quite a bit, and so I wanted to just take pictures and document all the things that I have and I've enjoyed. Some of them are from the family, so they will be going back to family members. Some things I'm not going to downsize. This beautiful stitching that my aunt made for me, I will be keeping. This beautiful hand-painted picture by my friend Jolie I'll be keeping. So some things I will keep, but most things I will probably downsize and get back to family members, give away to friends. But I just have really, really loved all of these things and loved living in this space. So there it is. Thanks for touring with me. Thanks for watching that video with me. I really loved making that video, and I wish I would have made more. I thought of it at the last minute and right before I started selling all my things. So after I made that video, I started thinking to myself, okay, what things can be easily replaced if I hate living in China and I decide to come back? Because I really didn't know what I was getting into. I lived overseas before, but I didn't know. Maybe I'd hate it and come back in a year. So what things would I want to be there waiting for me when I came back? So I actually talked to a friend of mine, and we talked about furniture because I had just bought that furniture. I loved that sofa. I bought that table. It wasn't the fanciest, and my chair I loved. And so we talked about it, and she was like, look, that furniture cost you less than $2,000, which it did. I'm a bargain shopper. She's like, you're going to spend all this money on storage for something. You're going to spend the same amount in storage as you paid for the furniture. So that comment right there made my decision for me. I was like, oh yeah, she's right. And she was like, you don't know what the person next to you in the storage unit is going to have. She's like, they might have cockroaches. So you might come back from Asia and find out, you've got cockroaches all over your sofa, because she had used storage units before. So just talking with her really helped me a lot. So I did get rid of my sofa. I saved my chair, and I got rid of my table. So I sold, most of my furniture, and I just kept a few pieces. I'll show you which ones I kept later. So along those lines of what can easily be replaced is what haven't I been using? So I went through, some main things that we keep in our homes, right? Tools, kitchen stuff, my bike, garden stuff. So I had moved to this very nice apartment, and I hadn't been really gardening for the last couple of years. So I ended up getting rid of my garden stuff because I thought I can just buy new garden stuff if I move home. My tools I went through, I had a huge, super heavy bin of all these tools, and I wasn't using any of them, like a drill, like sander, all this crap. So I ended up paring it down to like one tiny little toolbox and getting rid of the tools because I just wasn't using them. I had a bicycle that I bought. I thought, oh, I'm going to ride this bike. Well, we have bike shares everywhere. So I wasn't using my bike. So I gave that away. And I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, the kitchen stuff. The kitchen stuff, I did a major overhaul of all the kitchen stuff and really pared it down to what I was going to use and what I really wanted to keep. And the stuff that I hadn't been using for the last 2 years in that apartment, I let it go. I just figured somebody else could use it. So now we're going to get to the artwork. And, you know, I was really proud of my artwork. I still am proud of it. I really like to decorate in the style of things that are handmade or unique or ethnic. So I had accumulated a lot of different pieces, you know, over the years that I was living in Milwaukee, which was about 20 some years. And I did at one point own a fair trade business with my ex-husband. So we had traveled and we had accumulated some things through that. So I decided that I really enjoy shopping and I enjoyed picking out some of those pieces. Some of the pieces, like they were from the season of my marriage, and so I actually kind of felt sad looking at them, even though they were pretty. And so I decided to sell on Facebook Marketplace a lot of my artwork. And I had a beautiful Ugandan basket collection. I love buying handmade baskets from fair trade vendors at the state fair or whatever. I enjoy purchasing those things. So I told myself, I said, you know what, I really enjoyed accumulating these things. And I have so many of them that when I would go shopping, I really wasn't able to buy anything else for myself because I had so much stuff. And so I decided to let go of a lot of my art because of that, because I thought, you know what, then I'll make space for new art. If I come home, I'll have space, I'll be able to go shopping, and that will be a lot of fun for me. So I let go of a lot of it, and it was sad, but that was one of the reasons that I made that video, was just to remember all those fun pieces that I collected. Another thing that we have to consider when we're decluttering and downsizing is, what are we going to do with all our hard copy photos? So, you know, I'm older now, so I have a lot of hard copy photos, and I was considering digitizing them, which is a very popular thing to do, especially if you're following these minimalist communities. And I started along the journey, but as I was doing it, I actually was enjoying looking at these hard copy photos. So I decided to keep them. They're very well organized, and I pared them down, got rid of a bunch of doubles or like those blurry ones that you don't really know what they are. But I kept my photos because I just wasn't ready to let them go. The same thing for letters and cards. I had a huge bin just filled with special letters and cards that people had sent me over the years. And I went through during my downsizing and I organized all these letters and cards and whittled them down to just the really, really special ones. And I got them all organized and I put them in plastic bags and kind of labeled them so they were all together by category. So it was fun to look at them. And then some of the ones that were just frivolous, like maybe somebody sent me a card and they were like thinking of you, or just, you know, something that didn't have much meaning to it, I did toss that. Jewelry was another thing. So I had a lot of costume jewelry. It's not worth a whole lot. And some of it was gifts. Some of it was things I bought for myself. And I really had to look at my jewelry and think about, what am I wearing and what am I not wearing? What is it? Do I really need to keep all this jewelry? Like I don't really wear a lot. I've got a couple of rings and I usually wear some earrings, but a lot of it I just wasn't wearing. And I think I had a bin about this size, just crammed filled with jewelry and all tangled up and all this stuff. And so I ended up buying 2 of these really cool things I'm going to show you on Amazon that you can hang these up if you want, and they're just jewelry organizers. I actually looked to shop local and I couldn't find any, so I went to Amazon and I found them. So I organized my jewelry into these. And I whittled it down to 2 of these. One of it is jewelry that it's like memory jewelry, things that maybe it's just memory, I'm never gonna wear it. And then this jewelry is jewelry that I might wear. So I go into this one all the time. And then the other one, I just don't really open that much, but it's there. And they're just 2 compact jewelry organizers that I'm really proud of and happy that I got rid of all that clutter. Just thinking of all those tangled up necklaces, it kind of stresses me out. So if you watch these decluttering videos, you know that the categories are: what are we going to donate, what are we going to give away, and what are we going to sell. So let's talk about what we're going to give away first. So when I contacted my family members, I did not want to overwhelm them with too many things to give away. So I'm not as close to my family. I mean, we're not estranged, but you know, like we don't see each other every day and things like that. So there's some main things that I contacted them about, and they were things that my grandma had, so I knew they might have interest in those things because they're very, you know, really family heirlooms. So those were the main things. So there was a large buffet that my grandma had, an antique table that my grandma had, and then a curio cabinet that was in the family. So, and a bedroom set. So I offered those up to the family, and thankfully, the family took them. So they came and they helped move them out, and that was great. The bedroom set I had been using for a number of years, and they didn't take the bedroom set. So I ended up giving one of the dressers to a good friend, but then I couldn't let go of the headboard and the vanity. So I ended up keeping it. I don't know, maybe I'll get rid of it later, but I couldn't let it go. So I did let myself keep those two items. Along the topic of giving away things, I did give away some of my artwork to friends. So there were friends who admired, you know, the things in my apartment, and I asked them, hey, do you want any of this before I sell it? Because I knew I wasn't going to get a lot for it. So several of my friends wanted some of my art, and I was just thrilled to give it to them. Okay, so let's talk about the things that we're going to donate now. So everybody's got their own strategy for how they donate to nonprofits. I have a lot of friends who are super intentional, and they have all these small nonprofits that they donate to, and I admire them so much. I, on the other hand, just pick Goodwill. It's convenient. They've got good recycling processes in place, and so that's where I chose to donate. And then I've got another nonprofit, Teen Challenge, that I would donate to some of my nicer items. And so here's how I did this. I would set a time or a day, and I would give myself a block of time, maybe 3 hours. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this room in the 3 hours. So I would go through the room. I would fill up my bags or my boxes, and then take a trip and get rid of it the exact same day. So by doing that, I was able to go through, you know, item by item and get it done really fast. And that works for me. Decluttering can actually be kind of stressful because you're constantly making these decisions, you know, am I going to keep it? Am I going to get rid of it? And so I like to do what I call going into Zen mode, where I turn off my mind, I put on a book or some music or something, and then I ask myself the two questions. Have I used this thing in the past year, and can I easily replace it? And then this is usually during the donation phase. So I block off that chunk of time, and then I let my body just go, just start getting rid of stuff. Sometimes I forget what I've gotten rid of, but it's okay because I hadn't used it in a year and I can easily replace it. And that's what works for me. So let's talk about selling your items as you're trying to downsize. One thing to remember is that you're just not going to get what you think your items are worth. I mean, they're worth more to you than they are to the buyer. People want a good deal, especially when they're shopping on Facebook Marketplace or on Craigslist, things like that. So if you have time to play the long game, you know, there are people that do this for their job. They do estate selling, and that's what they do to make money, and they can play the long game. I wasn't one of those people, so I knew I wanted to have everything gone within 30 days, and I just wanted people that loved my things to have them. And so I was willing to take what people were willing to pay. The other thing that we need to think about when we're moving overseas is the car. What are we going to do with our car? So I don't own a home, so I didn't have to worry about that so much. But the car, you can't live in America without a car. So I went back and forth on this. I thought, oh, I could give it to my son, but he didn't need a vehicle and he didn't want it. I looked into storing it, but it just didn't make financial sense for what that car was worth. And it looked like a hassle too. And then I thought, oh, I could lend it to a friend. But then as I researched the insurance, the liability, what happens if it breaks, you know, all that kind of stuff, it didn't seem like a wise choice. It seemed like it would stress me out while I was overseas. So in the end, I ended up selling it. I sold it to the dealership, and that worked out great for me because I was able to drive it right up until the day I left. So that's how I handled the car thing. But if your car is worth something, you might want to do something else. My favorite tip for decluttering is using those clear plastic totes. I've become really obsessed with clear plastic totes. At one point I had a flood in one of my houses, and so I don't use cardboard anymore because I think it can get like moldy and just gross. And you know, I like those plastic totes. I like the Rubbermaid ones, and I really like these ones that are about this size. So I'm going to show you, you know, how my stuff got whittled down. And I like the clear totes because you can see what's inside them, but I always put a good label on my totes. So as I shared with you, I moved several times during the past 10 years. And so some of my houses, I didn't even unpack the totes. I just put them in a closet and kept them stacked up nicely. And it was actually easier to find my stuff rather than unpacking it and shoving it in drawers. I knew where everything was because it had a really nice label on it. And so this method works for me. And so I'd like to share it with you. And I'm actually really proud of how organized my stuff was as I left the country. Well, documenting my midlife reset, here's all my stuff. These 6 bins, which my friends are graciously letting me keep down there in their basement. This chair, this headboard, these bins here, and those bins on that shelf in the back, and just some little random stuff over here. One small dresser, a small table, a crane that my mom had I couldn't get rid of, and my rug, and my memory foam mattress. And that's pretty much it. In case I end up coming back, I'll have a place to sleep and sit. Got these 3 suitcases I don't need. I'll probably give them away. But there we are. It's a very small amount of stuff. I did keep some dishes, but mostly memorabilia and things from my son, gifts that my son either made or and gifts that other people gave me or made me. And just some random memories. But that's it. And my one chair, just in case, that's my safety chair. So very fun, heading off to Asia today and looking forward to seeing what's going to come next. So as we start to close out this video, I want to get back to finding your why. Like, why are we keeping the things that we're keeping? So I ended up keeping, you know, anything related to my son, like his artwork that he made that I thought was really special, gifts that he bought me. I didn't get rid of one of those things, especially the handmade ones. Like anything he bought me, I kept. Anything related to my son, I kept. The photos, I had organized and kept my photos. And then there were just little things, like there were these little dishes that my mom had, just small ones that I was actually using. Like I use these little small crystal things as like a soap dish, or I put things on these little ones, and they were small enough for me to keep. So I kept them, and because I thought, you know, I could replace this, but I'm not gonna. It's kind of special and it's small enough to store. So I kept it. So you want to find your why, find your rationale for why you're going to keep something, and be okay with that. So if you made it to the end of this video, let's review some of the tips that I shared today. So the first tip is know your why and be okay with your rationale for keeping items or getting rid of items. The second tip is say goodbye to your items before you get rid of them. So I shot that video. That was my good way of saying goodbye. The third tip is remember, things are not people. You can love people and still get rid of things. The fourth tip is setting good chunks of time, especially for your donations, and focus on one room at a time. Turn off your mind, put on some music or a book, and go into Zen mode. Ask yourself the two questions: have I used it in a year? And can I easily replace it? And then fill up your donation bags and drive it to the donation center of your choice and let yourself be free of those items. The last tip is for the items that you keep, put them in clearly organized boxes with really good labels. I like the clear plastic totes, but use the boxes that make you feel the most comfortable. The key point is knowing what you have and where to find it. So I hope these tips have helped you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.